Hope you're keeping warm out there, because bloody hell, it's cold. My word, it has really it's dropped, isn't it? Like, winter has really arrived now. I'm not really good with the cold, I'm going to be honest, not the best with it. So, yeah, hope you're keeping warm and safe. Before we get into the video, if you're new to the channel, do click subscribe. It's free to do so. It helps us grow, and also click that like button as well. We really do appreciate it. I want to talk about Lucas Paqueta and his situation quickly. Not so much about the case or anything like that, but more of an indication now from West Ham, in that you kind of get the feeling where their minds are going with this now. Of course, West Ham have always stood by Lucas Paqueta, as far as I understand it, still are, wanting to give him the support that he needs, etc. We can see in his performances this season, he's just not at it at all. He's clearly got so much going on, and you can understand it. You know, his career's on the line effectively regarding this all betting allegations and stuff, and it don't look good, does it? I've talked about it enough. You look at if you're an outsider looking in, if you take your West Ham glasses off and just look at it, imagine you weren't nothing to do with the club, you're just looking in. I would not be confident that he would be found innocent in any of this. It just doesn't look good. It feels like everything's pointing towards a guilty verdict. But, you know, I don't know. Who knows? They could well struggle to actually prove that he was directly involved. I don't know. But it's very difficult to comment on and say, yeah, this is where I think it's going to go, because, you know, it's just a little bit of the unknown at the moment. But in terms of what's been going on in Brazil, and then open up their own investigation, I did see some clips as well with his Uncle Bruno, on it was like a televised inquiry, and he was basically just saying no comment to a lot of the questions. He looked really, it looked like he looked guilty. You know what I mean? He had that look about him. They were querying him. Well, hang on a minute, you don't really bet, and now you're putting these bets on. It wasn't, the questioning was very much like, well, look, these are the facts, and he was struggling to answer the questions. That's what I saw anyway. I don't think it looks great, and West Ham now, I think, are gearing up for the worst case scenario, which is the right thing to be doing anyway. But Paqueta has been so poor so far this season. It just hasn't been nowhere near the level that we know that he can play at. And it's just, for me, that's kind of telling as well. Because if you're confident of being found innocent, if you know you're innocent and you feel like, look, I'm very confident in my team and then we're going to be able to prove that that is the case, then I feel like you probably wouldn't be so anxious. I probably wouldn't be struggling so much. Do you know what I mean? Because you'd have that confidence about you. But the fact he's playing the way he is indicates to me that he's very worried. And he's already said that in a statement, hasn't he? That this is deeply affecting him and his family. So I'm kind of, in my mind now, gearing up for the worst. And I think West Ham are, because West Ham are looking back into, this is not a new sort of inquiry from the club in terms of another player. They're looking now, focusing again on a player they looked at previously at Manchester City, which is James McAtee. So James McAtee is, for me, would tick so many boxes for what we as West Ham fans want at this football club. And I'm going to explain a little bit more about it in terms of what's happened previously. So West Ham scouted 3 Manchester City academy players a couple of seasons ago. And, a couple of summers back, should I say? Not a couple of seasons, a couple of summers back. Not the summer just gone, the one previous. We were looking at a few of their players. Harwood Bellis was one, McAfee was the other, and Cole Palmer was the other player. Now, the Cole Palmer situation was West Ham were really keen to bring him in. And then it was likely he was going to be forming part of that agreement to bring Paqueta to Manchester City. Of course, then the allegation stuff blew up. The Paqueta deal fell through. West Ham didn't get Palmer in, all that kind of stuff. It never materialised. Palmer's then moved on, obviously gone on to Chelsea in the end, and flourishing and a wonderful player. As another player to come out of Man City's academy, which just seems to produce talent, so much talent. They're just, whatever's going on at Man City, I know they've got these charges hanging over them. If you forget that, they are just such a well-run club, aren't they? They just bring the best players in. They've got the best academies. They're everything about them. They're just such a well-oiled machine. Pardon the pun. But the situation with them, obviously, you know, regardless regarding the charges, but I still think that you've got to admire how their academy's set up and the players they bring in. So obviously we missed out on that. And then you look at Harwood Bellis. All right, gone to Southampton. I think they're a club that's probably going to get relegated this season. I think it's more than likely. That is a player I think West Ham should be looking at. I think we should have looked at him seriously in the first place. I know we were. We just seem to be adverse, don't we, West Ham, to be taking gambles on younger players at times. I don't know why. It really winds me up. It's always this bloody leaning on experience. You've got to be experienced. It's almost like, you know, we talked about David Sullivan and the philosophy at West Ham in recent videos. And I just feel like it just filters through. This is what we get. We don't take gambles. They're always happy to spend millions and millions of pounds on like foreign players that haven't played in the Premier League, etc., etc. They're happy to take gambles there. But when it comes to younger players, it's always like a reluctance. But then you look at West Ham's recruitment when we have gone for younger players. Look at the likes of Jared Bowen, obviously got from Hull, coming at a decent age. Look how well he's flourishing, you know. It really frustrates me that, you know, that young English talent coming through. We should be a club that really provides a platform for these players. I wish we would be seen as that. I thought, you know, that is West Ham, isn't it? You know, the academy of football, and not just for our own academy in a way. You know, I want to see us go to other clubs and go, look, if you're not getting a chance here, come to our club. We give you the chance to flourish. And, you know, you only got to look at a few of our younger players that have come through and done well. But the fact we don't give enough opportunity to it in recent years is so frustrating. You know, look at Declan Rice. You know, I know he's an exceptional talent, and, you know, I get that. But it's not so much even the talent, it's the hunger to do well. I feel like you're ticking a huge box there. And it looks like now that West Ham are going to be going back in now for McATee. I just feel like with him, it's an indicator of where the club's mind is at with Paqueta. I feel like he would be the natural replacement. He's got that creative edge. He's got that ability to find the right pass. He's also, I like the fact he's not small. He looks like small actually when you see him, but he's actually quite tall. I think he's around about 6 foot. He's got a bit of power about him, a bit of pace, athleticism about him. I just feel like that is the sort of player West Ham need. And I'll tell you what as well, it would be one of those that you just know that if West Ham were to get this deal done, let's just say, right, in January, and I'll talk about that in a second, the sort of deal I think that how it could happen. It's the one that you just know the fans would be. First of all, he would get straight into our team. He would get straight in. He's an exceptional talent, doing well with England under 21s. He's featuring for Manchester City this season. I think he might have featured 4 or 5 times from already. You know, he's very well regarded at Man City. But Man City are a club that will enable their younger players to leave. Let's get it straight. First of all, they make a profit, a great profit. If West Ham, let's just say we signed him for £25 million. 25 million, that's great for their PSR, Man City. It enables them to go and spend. It's a good deal for them. And also, they don't stand in the way of players that want to go and play. They've stood up with Palmer. Palmer's a Manchester City boy, you know, came for that academy, worked hard. He made it clear he wanted to play football. They just couldn't quite. And he said, look, I'm happy to go. And they allow it. So it's not as if they're a restrictive club and go, no, we will not allow academy players to go. They will if the player wants to. And McAFee's obviously an exceptional talent. I'm not suggesting West Ham immediately could go and get him on a permanent. I don't think that would be the case. And I think also if you look at West Ham's finances at the moment, i.e. the spend that we did in the summer, I can't imagine West Ham going to be spending £30 million. Let's just say that was £25-30 million on a young midfielder. I don't think that would be happening. But I think a loan could happen. I do think there would be appetite from all parties for that to happen, for him to go and get valuable Premier League experience more. You know, the fact is he'll be playing for West Ham. If he was to come in, as I say, I think he'd slot straight into our side. He'd be straight ahead of Solo and Paqueta. Let's be honest, Paqueta doesn't deserve to be starting at the moment, the way things are going. And the fact is we could then start planning for, if he does get a ban, Paqueta, we might have someone to step in permanently, which is what I'm saying is, if you look at the McATee thing, you might be able to say, well, if we can get a loan with the option to a buy in the summer at a reasonable price, I think there would be an appetite there. I really do. Or at least give West Ham the first refusal on it, you know? I just want to see West Ham doing this. This is what we want to see. We've been told so much, haven't we, about West Ham and this Red Bull model. We want to see these young players coming through. And that's how we want to see these young, hungry talent playing for West Ham. We've got the oldest squad. We are bottom of the league. We are 20th in the league in terms of academy players getting opportunity this season and the average age. We are the bottom of the league. That is pathetic. That is absolutely pathetic. It really angers me seeing that, because I'm like, we've just had an academy side that's gone and won the FA Cup a couple of seasons ago, won their league. We're still flourishing this season. Last season, we got a wonderful academy side. Okay, we've got a few of our players out on loan. I get that. But to have them not featuring at all and having the oldest squad, because considering the fact we've just spent, £130 million in bringing players into this football club, and yet this is what we've got. You know, a bang average side at the moment. Don't get me wrong, some individual talented players. I'm not saying West Ham are a crappy squad. We haven't got a crappy squad. We've got a crap manager, I can tell you that. But we've got a decent squad of players. But the age is really concerning. It really pisses me off. And this is what I'm saying about West Ham. We're so adverse to going for younger players, to giving that opportunity, to seeing that hunger. They're just always so risk averse. Oh no, we'd rather just go for a 30-year-old because they got more experience. You know, it drives me mad. It really does. And I just feel like with McAtee, it would be the ideal signing. Not only would we bring in a player that we need, i.e. filling the boots of Paqueta, but you're bringing in someone the fans would get behind. You know, can you imagine him coming to West Ham? The fans would love him immediately. He'd get bums off seats straight away. You know, he's got a real flair about him and a quality. And I just feel like it's exactly what we need, that injection of youth, that hunger, that desire to do well. And I feel as well with his link-up play, the way he could... effectively, he plays a number 10. He also can play on the wings as well. So he's quite versatile. But I feel like we need someone in that creative midfielder, someone just to open up defences. Because we haven't had it this season. You know, you look at all of our goals, I mean, most of them come from crosses. It always feels like we're attacking the wings. It's a very basic way that we're attacking at the moment, basically pinging the ball in the box open for the best. We haven't got that creative flair. And I just feel like this is a deal that can happen. You know, he's clearly a player that wants to do well. There's no two ways about it. And I do believe the fact that Manchester City have given him minutes, the fact that he's doing well with his England 21s already, I look at him and think there will be an appetite from the player. I'm certain of it, to say, look, you can go to West Ham, you'll be playing. If we get him in January, you're playing half a season, you'll be playing every week. You'll be starting every week in the Premier League. I think that's a massive box tick. Plus, we've got a good relationship with City as well. And then you've got the fact that Manchester City as well get their player getting experience. And as I say, if I'm West Ham, I'd be saying, look, I'll tell you what, why don't we just get an option? Just give us an option to at least have, or first dibs on the player. Get something in place to say, look, if he has a good season for West Ham and we want to buy him, there's a £40 million price tag. Let's just say something like that. Do you know what I mean? We'll say, if we give you £40 million in the summer, he's your player. But that's the first refusal. But it's down to Man City to make the decision. I think it would really work. And we could be forced into that. So imagine, all I'm saying is imagine getting McAtee in and he does well. And then Paqueta gets, say, a 2-year ban or whatever it may be. This could be the perfect scenario for West Ham. Go, all right, we've already had the player playing now for a few months. He's used to West Ham. He's been doing well. Let's get the deal done. I'm all for it, as you can probably tell. And I'm quite excited by it. I feel like there is a real truth. Also, XWHU employees provided an update on it as well. Should have said as well earlier on in the video, saying that West Ham have got a firm interest. He's reported on this a little while ago. As I said, he reported on it when we had the interest in Harwood Bellis and Cole Palmer. So we've had an eye on this player for quite some time, and now we're seriously looking at him and looking at a potential January move. I think it will be a loan. I think that's what we will go for. I feel like it could happen, and it's just the right thing. I really do not want to see West Ham going out and going, right, we've got, it's January, we need to get a midfielder in. Right, we're looking at Spain. There's a 31-year-old over there. I don't want all that anymore. Going for players in this country that are hungry, want to do well. They're going to settle in. We don't want to keep having players that are too much of a gamble and a risk. We want to get players that are in that we know that can do well. And, as I say, it's a big tick for West Ham fans to see young, hungry players. Because what we were promised. And because the way things are standing, it's a joke. But yeah, so I think this is good news. I really do. I'm quite excited by it. I'm not saying it's definitely going to happen. But I've got a feeling, I've got a feeling that January we might just be able to get this one over the line. Come on, you ones.